So you want to learn how to produce your vocal in Logic Pro X. I got you. What's up, y'all? My name is Forrest Whitehead. I'm a producer-songwriter here in Nashville, Tennessee, and I've created this channel to help you, the songwriter at home, to produce better records from your laptop computer. In this series of videos, I'm going to be showing you how to produce your vocal, or how I go about producing my own vocal on demos that I do here in Nashville. We're going to be taking it step by step from the very beginning. So if you're more advanced, you may have to skip around on a couple of videos. But I want to break it down on every step of the process, how I go about producing my own vocal on demos that I do here in Nashville. Before we jump into a session and start tracking vocals, we got to set up our session. We got to import our track, make sure the tempo on our session is the correct tempo for the song. We're going to make sure that we have the track that we're singing to aligned on our grid in Logic Pro. So let's do that right now. I will select audio track because I'm working with a vocal, which will be an audio path. And what you're going to want is you want to hear your metronome. That way everything will be aligned to the grid once you sync it up to the metronome. So coming up to this section right here, you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, which is your count in, and then you have a metronome, or it's called click. I want to select this now. You hear your metronome. I know that 120 is not the tempo of my song. I know that the tempo of my song is 75. I tracked the song at 75 and I exported it out, and it has 75 as the BPM on the file. So I know once I drag it in my session that this is going to need to be at 75. Just in case you didn't know what the tempo was, I'll show you. Here is my track here on the desktop. I can just simply drag this in right here. Now, Logic reads sometimes. If you create the track in a Logic session, it reads the tempo. So once you drag and drop it in, that's what it actually did. Actually, I'll take this back out and show you guys. When I dragged it in here, my tempo is 120 right now, but once it comes in, it automatically changes to 75. So if this wasn't aligned, let's just say this was back at 120, and I'll play y'all kind of what this sounds like. So obviously that's way off, and the whole idea is whenever you set your tempo to the right tempo, you want to be able to zoom in here and see your downbeats. Go to a waveform that's either a kick drum or a snare drum, just like these right here. This section right here, you can tell that there is a beat happening, and that these are the major parts of where the rhythm is starting on this song. So let me make sure and listen with my metronome that everything is aligned up. Awesome, that sounds spot on. I can zoom in here and see we're at the top of this waveform. That's the downbeat, and it hits exactly where it needs to be within the beat. I'm using command arrow to zoom in and out there. And another good idea is to go somewhere further back in the song just to check, maybe the last chorus, another dynamic part, just to make sure that everything is aligned. Bring that down, you can hear when I bring the volume down, I hear the click within the track, and I can hear that it's locked on. So this is super important. Don't skip this part. This is everything as far as making sure your session is aligned and on the grid, and that way everything you tracked will be synced in time with your track. Import your song either by dragging it from the desktop, or another way to do it is come up here, File, Import Audio File, and then it will ask you, it's on the desktop. I'll open it again. Boom. There it is. Kind of drags it in the middle of the song here. And so if I listen to my tempo, 4, 1. And I already have it mapped up here because that's what it did whenever I brought in that other file, but I'll drag this back. You'll be able to hear where that count off needs to be. And this looks like a pretty major spot right here. So that's locked on great. Let me go ahead and title this guide track or whatever it would be. And that's pretty much it. We have our track that's dragged into Logic Pro and made sure that it is aligned on the grid of our metronome. Because if you don't get this part right, everything else in your session will be off. Not that hard once you get used to it. Just make sure that your metronome is turned on, make sure you have the right BPM, and make sure that you're looking at the top of a waveform here where it gets bigger, and you can align that waveform right on the downbeat and you should be good to go.